So good morning, good afternoon, good evening, whatever, wherever in the world you are. If you can hear me, see me, let me know that everything is working. I think I got it together this morning and managed to make this happen, but you never know till we get here. What is going on? I will say hey to the folks in the chat while I wait for somebody to like relieve me of this stress of whether or not my technology is working. I see Keith made it here 30 minutes early. He was the first one in and he gave us all a thumbs up. By the way, if you haven't done that, smash that button because it makes my heart feel fuzzy. That's really the only like benefit I really think I get out of that aside from, you know, all of you being here. So welcome. First off, I want to show off this beautiful thing right here. Can you see it? I think the sun is like super bright on it, but let me see if I get it over here. Maybe it will look less glinty and white. But this came in the mail for me this last week. It is was a complimentary mug, and everybody knows I love free stuff. But the 2018 commemorates my the year I jumped into this whole like make money online space. And actually, next month is the official 3-year anniversary. So thank you, Adrian, Hasta La Vista Boss, for the mug, which will now go into rotation, competing against my WP Eagle mug to be like the official mug of the weekly Wednesday live stream. So, anyway, I'm drinking my coffee and I am here and I have some fun stuff I want to talk about today. I'm going over to the chat to say hey and see who is here. I see folks telling me that the audio and video is working. Thank God, because otherwise I would have just talked for the last couple of minutes and nobody would have heard anything. Uh, anyway, Keith is here. Sue is here. What's going on, Sue? Thanks for dropping in. There is Margaret. As always, it's a pleasure. There's Alexander. I'm not going to mess this one up this week. There is Sabina. What is going on? Sarah, what's going on? Thanks for dropping in. All right. So, yes, I think it is an excellent boss mug. Folks saying, hey, happy birthday. Yes, I did have a birthday this week. I am old. That's just what it is. People ask, like, what did you do? Like, what did you do for your birthday? Here's what I did for my birthday. I got my kids out of bed and I was like, all right, we're going to pretend like mom is your age. So we ate garbage for breakfast. Not garbage, but, we didn't eat healthy. And then we went to the movies and got like the biggest like bucket of popcorn that they sold. Like I made them show me all the buckets. And we bought the biggest one. And my kids, literally, when they were sitting, I should post a picture somewhere. When they were sitting, like with the bucket on their knees, like they had to look over the top of it, like it was so like it was so big, like the arm, like into the bucket. It was pretty awesome. There is Tortoise Cash Flow. What is going on? Speaking of Anthony, I wanted to mention that I saw that you bought Carl's website. I saw Carl's video. And by the way, if Carl is here and lurking, your job, Carl, is to tell us what you are making for the tea, because I learn a little bit about British cooking every time you share what you make for the tea. But Carl sold one of his sites apparently to Anthony, and I didn't even know. I mean, I knew that Carl was planning on like maybe listing it, but apparently they did sort of a deal without a broker, and that's cool. Fix also sold his cyber athletics site, and that his video about his experience with Motion Invest is also up, which is cool. And I have checked out both of those videos, and I think they're good for us just to view and just to understand sort of that end of the process. There's a lot to be learned from there. There's Adrian. There is Chris. Chris says it's not just the tea, it's just tea. What are you making for tea? Well, yet again, I expose my Americanness because it seems like you would say the tea. I don't know. I guess not. I don't say what am I making for the dinner. I guess I say what am I making for dinner. So just replace dinner with tea and I'll just, right? Tea is dinner, isn't it? I mean, somebody like help me. because I don't know. Carl says he is making dinner, and Sabina says I am mom of the year. Well, after we went to the movies, get this, we went to the arcade, which is totally empty because of COVID, and they want to bring people in, so they had these cards where you could play all the video games you wanted. So I loaded us up for an hour, and then went and did the driving games. So my kids were like, we walked out of there, I kid you not, like bells and whistles. I was literally sick from the stimulation, but the kids were like, this is the best birthday ever. I'm like, I know. Carl says he's making quiche and salad. That doesn't sound very British to me. Anthony says about buying Carl's site, he says, yes, it was a great investment opportunity. It was hard not to jump on it. I hear that. Carl says, I'm cooking, so I missed some comments. So this is your opportunity then to talk friendly trash about Carl, because he won't be able to look at the comments. And I promise only to read the funny ones. Tea is dinner. My dad says supper. See, I always thought that it was dinner in the Midwest was like lunch, and then supper was dinner. But over here where I live, we have breakfast and then lunch and then dinner instead of breakfast, dinner, and then supper. I don't know. I just drink coffee out of my super mega awesome free Hasta La Vista Boss mug. That's right. I'm not even an affiliate. There's no links. I just like mugs. Except that it would be great if the picture was over here instead of on the front. I wish that whatever print on demand service that Adrian is using it would go over here or over here, because now it's I don't drink my mug like this. How are people supposed to see this awesome print unless I turn it? I have to sit it somewhere without, see, it doesn't even fit in the screen. Anyway. So I have a couple things I want to talk about. Margaret says, if tea is dinner, then what is supper? Supper to me is dinner, I think. Soren Sue says it was a perfect day. It was not a healthy day, but it was all right. Carl says it's too hot for anything else other than quiche. Sarah says supper is what you have just before bed. No, that's what you have. That's a snack. The supper is like a meal. Sarah says, I thought supper and dinner were the same thing. Carl says supper is the last food you eat in the day, usually cereal. Who would eat cereal right before bed? That's like a gut bomb of sugar and processed cereal. Really? Tortoise Cashflow says, use my other hand. Well, if I use my other hand, it looks like this, because it has to be that's that's making me drink on the handle spot. I guess I could do that. So the first thing I want to talk today is about, and it's fun that Carl is here because I want to talk about the popcorn theme. And if you are under rock, you probably haven't heard, but our good friends and colleagues got together, Alex and Carl and Phil, who is often on these live streams and usually on Alex's live stream, got together and decided to make themselves a theme. And I got a hold of it and then thought that I would put it on my niche site, Cage Fight site, because why not? Because they say it's super fast and awesome. What a great opportunity to put apparently a really excellent theme on a new site. And so here's what I know so far, because this site, as of right now, has all of 9 posts and just some of the basics of the disclaimer and privacy policy and all the rest. So there's not a lot of bells and whistles. I don't have Ezoic on it yet. I don't have hardly any plugins running on it except for Rank Math. So far, I haven't managed to do anything to it yet to break it. I'm not sure if people were thinking that's something that should be happening early on. But so far, it's been really stable for 9 posts plus a homepage plus Rank Math. I haven't done anything else to it yet, but I'll let you know as I do. But, they were talking about speed, right? And people love to talk about speed and all this stuff. I don't have any other speed optimizations on it, right? I don't have WP Rocket. I don't have a CDN. I'm doing nothing except the basic hosting package, which is SiteGround and popcorn. All right. So here's what it scores so far. So I tested the homepage and I tested it multiple times on both GTmetrix and just page speed insights to see if like it would bounce around. So here's what I have basically so far. I tested a homepage and then one like random article. I just chose one I thought maybe might be the longest. So for GTmetrix, let's see, the homepage for the website, mobile is giving me a 97 on page speed insights. I'm not sure if I said GTmetrix earlier, but I just looked over here at my screen and I just happened to be on page speed insights. So for the homepage, it's scoring 97 on mobile and a 100 on desktop. And everything in the lab data for Core Web Vitals is green for desktop. And on mobile, the LCP element is the only one that is yellow. So I don't know if that's something that will update or change. And obviously when I add ads to it, it's going to be different. But for now, a straight up like homepage, this is what I'm seeing so far. For a blog post, and the blog post I think is less complicated because, it's just a straight column. Right now I'm getting a 97 on mobile. And again, the LCP element is the only one that is yellow in the lab data. And I don't have any of this stuff in Google Search Console yet because the site is not old enough and there's not enough traffic going through it. There's no traffic yet. So there's going to be no like official data for Core Web Vitals to update in Google Search Console. But as far as the one blog post that I put in there, again, it's 97 on mobile and 100 on desktop. And the desktop, all the lab data for Core Web Vitals is all green. That's pretty cool, right? I mean, it's like that seems good. Not that I'm an expert at that. I went over to GTmetrix and I also put in the homepage just to see what it would score. And it scores an A with 100%, basically like, I mean, is that good? I hope so. And then for the same blog post that I used for my example in Page Speed Insights, it's also scoring an A and 100%. I mean, I could scroll through most of the stuff I don't understand. It's like super green. So you say, okay, well, what are my initial impressions so far based upon the things that were promised? The things that were promised were that it would be super fast. And so far, without adding ads and without doing anything else, so far, they've held up the end of that bargain. I also like that there's just not much else going on in the theme that I don't need. I mean, I have seen a couple of things that I wanted to do, like a couple of features that I was like, ooh, this, that. And I actually emailed Phil and I said, hey, what about this thing? And he's like, ooh, I could add that. And so I don't know if it will come out or be released, but they're constantly updating the theme. And so I'm like I'm going to continue to use it on the niche site Cage Fight. I don't see any reason to take it off. And I'm curious to see how the theme grows and develops. And yeah, no, it was really cool. So I wanted to thank Carl and Alex and Phil for letting me have the opportunity to test drive it. It's so far it's fun and cool and fast. So yeah. What else does the chat have to say? People are still talking about supper and dinner. Let's see. Carl says we have cereal restaurants. Cereal restaurants? Like a cereal restaurant? Like what? That makes no sense. Chris says, for me, dinner is the biggest meal of the day, no matter which meal it is. Tea is the meal you have in the evening. Supper is a sweet pre-bed snack. So this is just so strange to me. Chris says, LOL, what a restaurant niche. All you can eat cereal. That just sounds wrong. Sabina says, sounds like a college dining hall. Marika says, hey, everyone. I say, hey, Marika. By the way, if you are in the MIGA group or you are interested in accountability, now is the time to own up. How did the week go? Because we want to know. Also, smash the thumbs up button if you are anywhere near your computer because it makes my heart feel fuzzy. That's really it. Chris says, he says he got his first click from Google over on his Cage Fight site yesterday, exactly 3 weeks in. And I will tell you, sir, that I have gotten none. In fact, one of the articles of the 9 that I write, I think was indexed and bounced in and then bounced right back out. So I have in Google Search Console in the impressions, I see like, bloop, 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 and then like flatline. So basically it's still a ghost town. But that doesn't bother me. I still think that, this site has a chance to grow. I just don't know how early it is going to grow. But yeah, no, congratulations. I'm still anxiously awaiting your month 0 cage fight video. If you're going to do one, are you going to do one, or are you just going to wait until next month? Ooh, as I like, my brain is like ding ding ding. I should have put a link in the description and I forgot to do that. I will do it for the folks on the replay. I'm going to make notes, but Chris and I started a podcast. Well, rather, Chris decided that he wanted to start a podcast, and he's like, hey, do you want to be a part of it? So Chris is really doing all the work. Like, honestly, he's taking care of the YouTube and the getting it on iTunes, and which is a pain in the butt, and like all of the things. And then I just get to show up and and be myself. But it's called The Drawing Board, and it's out and officially out. And I'm gonna I should have put it in the description, but yeah, no, it's basically what we do all the time, which is shoot the breeze about blogging websites, except we decided to record it and put it where other people could be a fly on the wall for it. So I will, for the folks on the replay, and gosh, remind me at the end of this thing to go and do that. I will do it in the future. I promise, Chris. But yeah, check it out and let us know what you think. We're putting it, Chris, I'm doing nothing. Chris is putting it on YouTube, so it has its own YouTube channel, and it's also going to be on all the major podcasting consumption apps. It's really fun to make them. So I personally, like, Chris might care, but I don't care how many people listen to them because they're fun to make. So yeah, so I have no idea how often the episodes will come out, and I don't know what we're planning on talking about in the future, but we do discuss the coming up with the cage fight, like guidelines, and we talk about blogging, and yeah, so I'm excited about it. Let's see. Anthony says, does Popcorn need a separate plugin for analytics, or is it built in like Acrobato? I don't know. If somebody is here from Popcorn, they can say so. Carl. I haven't gotten that far yet. Sabina says, dang, Chris. And Sue says, nice one. And I echo that, because this is a friendly competition and I want Chris to succeed, even though I want to just succeed more. Carl says, when I was in school, A was good. Yeah, you're going back to my GT metrics, and I'm like, is A good? I think A is about as good as it gets. So awesome. Keith says, yeah, no bloat. Carl says, uploading it daily. That's exciting. Carl says, also, new styles of themes will be released at no extra cost. Yeah, so it sounds like you pay $99, which might sound like a lot, but you can put it on as many websites as you want, basically until they decide to change that. So I guess getting in like early, grandfathers you in on that. I'm thinking back to what I spent. Like, I've spent $30, $40 a year on themes. And I mean, mostly up until like lately, I've been using GeneratePress, just the free version. But if it's a good theme and it works, $99 is not, especially forever, is not an extraordinary investment. And again, there's no affiliate links. Like, I did I will just, in full disclosure, I did apply to the affiliate program, but if you look in the description right now, there are no affiliate links to Popcorn. I just legitimately tried it out, and this is my experience so far. Let's see. Sue says, I signed up with Ezoic today for the first time. I say, welcome, my friend. You will find that it is difficult and interesting and a learning experience, but it's like a good step into learning and like getting to the next echelon of earnings. Chris says, I was just going to wait till next month. All right. Well, I thoroughly enjoyed making the cage site video and also releasing it because of just the number of people who watched it and then jumped in it to leave comments, because it was really entertaining and fun. So I look forward to making the next one. And also, I'm not as intimidated about making it silly, because I felt like this month 0 video was a little silly and it seemed to go over well. So I wouldn't be surprised if it was more silly. Sue says, was a bit strange about Ezoic, as I just did the course and then nada. Do I just wait for them to accept me? Did you take the test? because that would be my next question. Because I feel like if you haven't taken the test yet, but you did the course, then that seems like that would be the next step. But if you took the test, then I would think that you should be able to move on to the next step of getting your site like on track. So I don't know, could somebody else who has done this more recently than me let me know what their experience was in the Access No program after they finished the course and before and after taking the test. Carl says tea is ready. So do we say the tea then? Because that's where I'm confused, because people will say, we don't say the dinner is ready. We just say dinner is ready. But then I hear people say the tea is ready. So I guess that's why I'm confused. Anthony says, I love the podcast so far. I'm like, it's all fuzzy in my heart. Yeah, no, they're fun to make. Sarah says, Sue, Zoic will send you an email letting you know you are in and that you can set up your ads. So I guess if you haven't gotten that email, then maybe there's something that still needs to be done between finishing the course and getting that email. Sarah says, I make a few pennies every day with Zoic. You know what? Everybody starts somewhere. That's what happened when I added my first site to it. I remember making my first $1 a day with a site on Zoic, and it's like kind of exciting, even though it's $1. Like, what can you really buy with the US dollar? Not very much, but still, it's like if you can make $1, then you can make 2 and 3 and so on and so forth. Sue says, no test. I just went through all the course on Teachable. I feel like there's supposed to be a test somewhere. Bradbury, welcome. It's good to see you. I feel like we haven't seen you in a while, friends. So you'll have to let us know how things are going. What's going on with you? Sarah says about Access Now that she had a lag of about a week after taking the test before I was allowed to place ads. Sabina, just keep working on it. You will get there. So we talked about popcorn, and I wanted to talk next because last week we talked about my SERP robot stats, because I mentioned that I'd finally uploaded the MIGA site, most of the keywords over there on SERP robot, and then discovered that there was about 80 keywords that just weren't registering at all. And I was like, oh, what do we do? And some of the suggestions were to, add a YouTube video to the bottom or somewhere in the blog post. Another suggestion was to do a lot of work with interlinking. And then one of the things that I had planned to do was to just do some more social media work for those posts, for those URLs. And one of the things that I had noticed on some of my other posts that were ranking fine is that I had actually done Pinterest and Facebook and Twitter with them as they came out, but that the connection with my if this then that had died without telling me. So I didn't know that those weren't being posted. And so I thought, okay, what if I just go through and do those things? If I do the Twitter, the Facebook, and the Pinterest, and see what happens. And so here's what I noticed. And I know that Anthony is here, and Anthony hates Pinterest with a passion for new sites. So I'll just remember that with a grain of salt. So I noticed that Twitter basically did nothing. Facebook basically did nothing, but pinning these URLs. Now, it didn't save the day, right? What happened is the URLs that I pinned, I did notice that the URLs that have been flat, like flatline, had a big spike, right? And so I don't know if they were being indexed or being discovered or what it was, but so it looked like the URLs that hadn't been found, had never been found, as soon as within a day of pinning, just something that, nothing exciting, but pinning with the URL, that they popped into SERP Robots database. Now, what does that mean? I don't know. I don't know because I had double checked and triple checked that they were indexed within Google Search Console, and I even re-indexed them, which also didn't seem to do anything as far as SERP Robot picking them up. But pinning the URL did help some of those articles get discovered. Did it fix all of them? It did not. And in fact, what I noticed after doing the pinning is that instead of like it being discovered and we're like, boom, like, and then flat, whatever URL, whatever level it was going to be, like, 25th out of 100 or 5th or 2nd or whatever, is what they started to do is going like this. So like one day it was discovered and the next day it was gone. And one day it was discovered. So it went from like totally like flatline, like ghost town, to this, to this, to this, to this, and bouncing all around. So some of those URLs are now getting traffic, but it's really inconsistent because one day they're indexed and then indexed according to SERP Robot, and then the next days they are not. And so I don't know. What is the takeaway from this? I don't know. It's interesting, and I guess if you have like a really stubborn URL that isn't getting any traffic and SERP Robot isn't finding it, you could look to just pinning some pins with that URL to see if you can help get Google like aware of it. But it doesn't seem to be the end all, because it's not like it's maybe a quick fix, but not like a long-term fix, because those URLs just aren't staying discovered in SERP Robot. So that's just what I observed in the last week. This week coming up, what I'm hoping to do is to try out what Stig suggested last week, was the YouTube videos somewhere, embedding them to see if that will help. And I'm just going to take like 10. I'm not going to do them all because that would take me forever. It's just like take 10 URLs, keep track of them, and then see if adding the YouTube embed somewhere in, or even just the link, if that changes anything at all. There's Fahed. What is going on? I haven't seen you in a while. How has it been going? Sue says she found another email. Right. And Bradbury says, I'm always around. It just depends if I'm at the PC at the right time for things. Yeah, totally. Especially when people are on the other side of the world. You can't always tell. It's just not always convenient. Like Alex goes live about an hour before I normally wake up, right? So I get the YouTube notification that he's live on his channel about just right before my alarm is supposed to go off for the. And I'm like, I'm totally not getting up for this. I'm sorry, Alex. I will catch it on the replay. Anthony says, do your pins have the same title and keywords as your articles? In this latest experiment, that is what I tried. I just copied the title from the blog post that has the keyword that I focused on in the title, and used that as the pin just to see what would happen. And so, yeah. That's what I know so far. Leona, what is going on? He says he's late, but glad to be here. And I say welcome. It's good to see you again. Commit. Oh my goodness. I think my day, my stream is now complete. You are here. Thank goodness. He says, hello, who is updated to WordPress 5.8 and has anything blown up yet? I've only updated to 5.8 on one of the sites. That is my cage fight site. And there's so little going on with it that there was basically nothing to explode, except for popcorn. Popcorn is on my cage fight site, and upgrading to 5.8 did not explode it. But like I said, I'm not doing WP Rocket. I don't have any affiliate link like plugins. I have basically nothing on it. So the theme so far still looks good. Oh, I'm using Rank Math on it too. So far, good, but I haven't done anything else. Commit has a big heart. I said, I know. Sarah says, Sabina, it took me a few times to pass the Exoic test. You'll get it. Yeah, I think it's a lot easier for folks who have been doing this for a while, because some of it is just, it has to be language and lingo that makes sense. And as you're learning, you'll get there. Sabina says, I'm feeling really down about it right now. I don't want to whine, but I think I just expected more growth this month. Well, welcome to this world, because it doesn't matter if you have a site that is doing really well or a site that is brand new. You are always going to feel that way. In fact, I, before getting on this live stream, was literally just looking at the stats for my MIGA site, right? I'm sitting here and I'm like, looking at them and like grumping because it's not growing as fast as I want to, right? And if you saw my 6-month video, right, it grew like a bajillion %, not a bajillion, but it grew a ton. And so, and I'm still looking at it, and it's grown a ton, not a ton. I don't want to say too much because then people won't be able to have fun and guess with me for how month 7 did, but it's grown a lot. And I'm still sitting here looking at it, feeling exactly the same way. Like literally, she says, I don't want to whine, but I just expected a bit more growth this month. And that's exactly how I feel. And it's going fine, right? It's like going really well. And I'm still like feeling that exact same way. So I think you just got to get used to that, because instead of feeling like everything is awesome and like doing the happy dance all the time, like what you feel is like, I want more. I want that to be more. Like the growth is great and the progress is great, but I just want more. And maybe that's a symptom of who we are rather than the business, right? The folks who are never satisfied, like, or not easily satisfied. But this is me showing off my mug again and drinking out of it this way. Yeah, that's definitely a flaw in the design. But I still like the mug. I'm still going to use it. I just got to figure out, maybe I should take like a Sharpie and redraw like Adrian over here. But then my total like terrible design skills would be hilarious. Anthony says, that's what I did, talking about Pinterest and then putting the title on the top of the pin. Plus adding my snippet optimized answer to the pin description. My pins were winning the snippet. So one thing I didn't do was add anything to the description. So I figured if somebody happened to click, like if Pinterest was outranking my post and then they went to click on because they saw the pin, that if they clicked on the pin, that they wouldn't have the answer in the little description. So if they wanted the answer to the question, they would still have to click further to get there. So maybe that's the difference. But either way, I mean, those posts, even though they're like bouncing in and out of the SERP, they're the SERP, according to SERP Robot, they're not getting a bunch of traffic. And I frankly don't know whether or not I necessarily believe always what SERP Robot has to say or thinks about things, because yeah, like it shows me ranking #1 for this awesome keyword, and I'm getting 0 traffic for it. So either everybody's getting the answer from the snippet, which is probably true, but like everybody, it thinks that the estimated traffic for the keyword is like thousands, right? And it says that I'm ranking #1 for that keyword, like 1-1, and it's like, should be awesome. But there's literally like three visitors a month. I mean, is everybody getting the answer from the snippet? Like everybody? It seems like at least like, Anyway. Sabina says, I'm still sitting at 200 page views a month. I want to weep real tears. I feel like I'm about ready to get voted off this island. Well, from what I understand, this is 1, your first site. 2, that first site was started, I think, recently, right? In the last 12 months? Was it? You have to remind me because I don't remember. Was it? So she says, my earliest post won't index, so I'm really more in like month 4 than month 7. So you started your site in January, and you really didn't buckle down and start writing the posts until month 3 and 4, and you're struggling with indexing. So you have a site that is growing slowly, but it is still brand new. And I think that's one of the reasons why I try to recommend, even for myself personally, and this is advice that I really struggle to take, is to not focus on the numbers as an indicator of success and failure until somewhere between months 18 to 24. And I know that seems like forever. And there's a temptation that I have succumbed to many times to just take a break, right? To say, you know what, I'm just going to work on something else. Or maybe this isn't working. And what I've learned is that you don't know if it's working or not in month 7. And sharing it with your friends, like I go all the time to friends here online and say like, oh, like when is it going to take off? And you're like comparing yourself, and you're like looking at their like month on month things, and you're like, where's mine? Sometimes it just takes a little longer. You know, it's like totally cool to vent and say, I'm frustrated, I'm impatient, I'm doubting myself, right? And you've come to a place where we all understand, because all of us are living that. Even those of us who start new sites who have done it before and had success. It's like anytime you start a new site, there's like some faith. You're like, you never know if it's going to work or not until you get in there and see. Anthony says, my site gets 1 to 5 visits per day after 8 months. And Anthony has been doing this for a while and has other successful sites. She says, it's easy to feel real alone. Yes. Yes. Look at me. Look at my, like, look at my studio with all of my people, all of my coworkers, and my water cooler. It's because most of us are doing this alone in our homes or offices or in our free time, and not everybody understands what we're doing, and that's just not a reason to not keep going. And I just want everybody who might be feeling this way to just focus not on the long term, right? Like not where I want to be at 12 months and not where I want to be at 24 months. It's like, where do I want to be? What do I want to learn? What can I control between now and 30 days from now? And I think the mental, like emotional load is so much lighter when you're only thinking about like, what do I want to accomplish that is within my control between now and 30 days from now? Sometimes I'm only going like week to week. Like last week, I think I ended the live stream with like, okay, here's what I'm going to get done. And I said I was going to get a YouTube video done, and I was going to get 7 articles done for the cage fight site. So I didn't exactly meet that goal. I did the YouTube video and I did write 7 articles. I just didn't write them all for the cage fight site. I did do like one for the MIGA site, but I did do 7 articles. But literally that's as far ahead as I was looking last Wednesday, because at that time, that's really all I was able to focus on. Sometimes that's how it works. So this is like a long-winded, like pat you on the back, like, buck up buttercup, like moment, but I think you can do this. Leona says, draw an arrow. See here. See over here. Sarah says, I have one really good post on my first site that brings in almost 1,000 visitors a month, and the other 50 are minimal. The kicker is the EPMV is coming in around $4. Oh my goodness. That totally happened to me with my 2019 case study site. I have over 300 posts on that site, and there's a cluster of 10 articles like that take, 90% of the traffic, and the EPMV on this site because of that is under $3. It's so, pathetic is not the right word, because it's disappointing, underwhelming. Sometimes that's how the cookie crumbles. Commit says, writer access review, please. Sean, tell me, what is it that you want to know about writer access? I will tell you a bit about my writer access story for folks that are interested. But let's see, I started on writer access, 3 or 4 months ago. And the reason I was interested in it is because John Dykstra was using it. Let's see, the thing about writer access is that unless you get the AppSumo deal, which has, I think they're doing a lifetime deal for $40, $39. You pay a monthly fee to have access to the platform. And I think 39 is the lowest, like the lowest end one. And there are bigger fees depending on what you want them to do, because they will actually go into your WordPress and edit it and do all kinds of things to it. But I just do the very, very, very basics. And you can order content at different star levels. So 2 stars, 3 stars, 4, and it corresponds to the price per word. And there are some folks that try really hard to build a team on writer access, and I've chosen not to. And basically what I do when I develop a style of article that I want, and my articles are really similar right now because I'm working through a large keyword cluster, is that I have like a form, sort of standard SOPs, my instructions that I copy and paste from post to post. And I have that really, and I've edited it over and over and over, depending on how the content comes back. There are a handful of, geographical areas that you can get writers from, but it's the US, Canada, I think, Australia, New Zealand, the UK, and then South Africa. And I've had the best luck with folks everywhere but from South Africa. The only times that I've gotten stuff back where I was like really, really kind of shocked was the stuff coming back from South Africa. And, I don't know why or what or who or how, but that's just what it was. So unless the so for many of my articles, I'm like really targeting US traffic. And so I like geographical locations really focused in the US. So generally I will select just US writers only. And then I start with the very bottom barrel of how many cents per word, just 2 cents per word. And then I fire it out to the crowd. It costs you 70 cents to list an article to go to the crowd. So it costs 2 cents a word plus the 70-cent listing fee if you're listing it to the crowd. But they also give you a well, I guess there's the listing fee regardless of whether or not you're going to the crowd or going to your love list, because as you go and you can like add writers to the like your preferred writers, they don't get to choose if they want to be on your list or not. It's just you can publish it to them first. And so I'm still getting lots of content back from lots of different people. And so Commit says, how's the writing quality compared to buy sell text? I have had some really great articles come back, and then I've had some that were gnarly and were, for me, clearly written by like an, I don't want to say AI because I don't think these content generators are artificial intelligence, but one of these tools that are generating blog posts. And the thing about Writer Access is that their customer support team is really involved. So they're constantly calling and emailing, which I guess is great. But I wish they would turn off their little like chat person, because she's constantly popping up like literally in every window. And I'm like, go away. I don't need you right now. But talking to them about their writers and about the thing I like about Writer Access is when I post an article, it almost automatically and quickly, within a couple of hours, gets picked up by a writer to write. And that was one of the things I didn't like about some of the other platforms like iWriter. I would post articles and then just not have, they would never get picked up, like ever. I would have them on there for a week and nobody would pick it up. But on Writer Access, they get picked up really quickly. Like even if I post, 20, 30 articles for getting picked up, they all get picked up. I mean, relatively quickly. But what happens sometimes, and Writer Access is working on addressing this, which is people will reserve it, hang on to it, and then not write it, like just kick it back at the end. And so you get your money back, and including your listing fee, like it just all comes back to you. But they are working on a system to flag writers who do that, because they're going to kick them off the platform. I've had good experiences, like good content. And then if I get contact back from somebody that I didn't think that was that good, I block them so that they can't see any of my stuff. Is it perfect? It's not. And in most cases, at the 2 cents per word, I get the content back and then I review it and I actually read it line by line. And then I redo all the headers, all the H2s and H3s. And then for the most part, undo any like SEO attempts that the writers have done, because usually their on-page SEO involves trying to cram the keyword they perceive I'm working on in there as much as possible, which is annoying because I don't think that's necessary. So if they have done that, I just work to undo that. And I'm reasonably impressed with it, but I didn't order like thousands of dollars of stuff from Buy Sell Text. I know there's other folks in this community who really like them. When I ordered content from Buy Sell Text, they at the 2 cent level to start testing it out, they kicked it back to me and they're like, we can't write this for you at that rate. We don't have anybody. And they said, you're going to have to pay us more to write that. And I was like, give me my money back then, because I don't know. I took offense to that. I don't know. I just was like, you're not even going to, I don't think it's that hard, guys. Like, really? But apparently not. I don't know, Sean, what else can I talk about? I've literally just rambled on for like 10 minutes about my Writer Access experience. And basically the sum of it is, I think it's worth a try. And I have used it for the last 3 or 4 months and been happy with the speed that I get my articles back. The quality has been decent enough for the girls I run with, and I'm going to continue using it. And I'm not using any other platforms right now because it's working out for me at 2 cents a word. Yeah, what else can I tell you? Commit says, ha ha ha, pay us more. Wow. Then he says, nah, thanks for the review. That was perfect. Thank you. Yes. Well, seriously, I never know what people want to know. Like, like share the writers that they work with. I mean, you can make your love list and like just pump out stuff to them. And I just want the content to come back and be good enough. And I just block anybody who's not good enough. Leona says, how did the Speedy site work out for you? Any improvements to your site? So what I know so far about Speedy site is that the GT metrics scores look amazing. They look really good. And what I'm waiting to do and see is how Core Web Vitals are doing in Search Console. And because it's like everybody's obsessed with Core Web Vitals. So it's great to make something fast. But if it doesn't like reflect on the Core Web Vitals, then it's still an issue. And so I'm seeing some improvements to Core Web Vitals, but honestly, I would like to see it more, right? So if I want a site that's super speedy, I don't know. I'm gonna reach out to them and talk to them. Just I want to be sure I understand what their promises were about Core Web Vitals before I go and say, yeah, or like, because if what they were promising was to make the site fast, then that's 100% what has happened, right? It's 100% way faster than it was before. But what I would really love to see is Core Web Vitals being green. That's what I would love to see. So Tortoise says, LOL, what did you want an article on? The secret of the universe? Right? You would have thought that it was something super complicated that would require, like a thesis, a PhD, but ultimately, I think it just required some research. And what you find a lot of times is folks who are writing for the internet, they don't want to do is research, like actual research. They want to go find an article that somebody has already written that same article and then just rewrite it. And if they can't go and do that, they're like, it can't be written. I'm like, you ever heard of a phone? How about you call up somebody and get more information that's not available on the internet? Or like, there's no information available on this topic. Like, really? Really? Derek says, I have been hassling with individual writers on Upwork. I have been intimidated by the hassling of individual writers on Upwork just because I cannot be bothered to like look at resumes, and maybe my content would be better, right? Like maybe I could still get content for the same price or even cheaper. But I just think of my investment of my time in like vetting people, and I just don't have time for that right now, or the interest. I've done it before. And then inevitably, when you're paying writers, the 2 cents a word, like eventually they get enough experience where they can go on and then get paid more a word. And I'm not affording that right now. And so then you're like starting over again, trying to find more writers. And I just want to get the keyword, use my template form, throw it in there, come back in 4 or 5 days, or even sooner if they like were super fired up about writing the article, get it back and then post it. And then that's all I want to do. So Derek says, love the chat. All my favorite YouTubers are here. I can think of a few more people I would like to see. I don't know. Phil, where's Phil? I feel like texting him like, Phil, you should be here, but you are not. And I guess he's not a YouTuber, but he's somebody who is going to be sad that he didn't get to this chat. Who also we shout out that will be here later on the replay? Supriya, friend, it's good to see you in the MIGA group, and hope you catch this on the replay. Oh, there's Phil. Phil was lurking. We caught you. Phil, did you hear earlier that we were talking about popcorn? I hope you know that I was Carl was here, and I think there was a question in the chat about Anthony was asking about whether or not there was a connection, a Google Analytics, right? That there you had to use if there was a plugin or there was Anthony, if you're here, or Phil can scroll and look for the question, but there was some question about using the popcorn theme for integration with Google Analytics, and I did not know the answer to that because I have not gotten that far. He said, "What did I miss? Just joined." So far, we've talked about popcorn. We talked about the niche site, Cage Fight, a little bit. We talked about having a hard time with the first site, like in months like 4 through 8, in the desert time. We talked about SERP Robot and Pinterest. Phil says no integration with anything that is plugin territory. All right. Question. I said asked if you needed a separate plugin or if it's like Acrobato. I think we got that answered. Ooh, so for probably the last topic that we'll have time for is the Cage Fight site. So if you saw, we talked about the Drawing Board podcast. Yes, we also talked about that because I was excited about it. But the Cage Fight site. So if you watch that video, you know that I am challenging Chris and planning on going at this from the RPM side. And so I wanted to crowdsource really quick all like the little tips and tricks that people would utilize to try to get the best possible RPM, just so we can like all take advantage of this. Is like, using the hive mind, right? So on my list of things to do was one, to get the best possible RPM for the Cage Fight site starts with the niche, right? It's like looking for the right niche where there is people spending money, and then, people actually advertising on the web for whatever that thing is. And if you watch the Cage Fight month 0 video, you know that I've jumped into legal, which brings me to the second thing that I'm thinking about as I write articles is a topic choice. So to get the highest possible RPM for a specific article, it's not just saying legal, like everything legal is going to have a high RPM, because that's not the case. That's not true. There are many practice areas within legal that are extremely valuable and others that are not. So as I'm working through and picking my keywords to write articles about, I am looking at what these people might spend. For example, there are lots of keywords associated with traffic tickets. Who would want to focus on traffic tickets when likely the client is looking at maybe spending a couple $100s to resolve a traffic ticket? Why would they spend $10,000 or $20,000 on an attorney to resolve a traffic ticket? Unless they had like a CDL and like this ticket was going to like ruin their life, right? It's going to cause them to close down their business, not be able to feed their families. Then yeah, maybe they would throw $20,000 at a traffic ticket. But in most cases, most people would rather just pay the traffic ticket than hire a lawyer to deal with it. So traffic tickets, like those keywords, are not high on my priority list for things to do. I'm looking at, okay, what do people spend the most money on as far as lawyers go? So you're thinking like the most serious of cases, and then looking for topics, looking for articles to write that are hopefully not competitive in that specific topic. So there's niche, high value niche, topic, high value topic. And then from there, writing the content. And again, I keep looking to the chat. Does anybody have any other thoughts? Suing folk. Yep. Basically, that is the most valuable of all the niches. Topics in legal is suing folks. Merch. Yeah, possibly. But for the Cage Fight, the winning and losing has to do with display ads earnings. So I may do merch at some point. I may do other things, but right now I'm trying to figure out, okay, how to make the most money from display ads. So Anthony says, what about an ebook about how to dispute a traffic ticket? Yes. Also another potential item that over time would increase the value of the site and the RPM overall. But right now I'm focused on crushing Chris somehow, or even trying to come close to Chris. So I've got to figure out as far as display ads. The next thing I'm thinking about in the post is thinking about, okay, what can I do to maximize the value of a specific post as far as RPM? So on my list, I have making sure to do little edit things like the size of the pixel, like the size of the letters, right? Because most of my traffic is mobile. So I've moved all of the word height to 8. Is it word height? The letter height to 18. And I've done this on a lot of my sites. It starts, the default, I think, is 16 or 17, and I moved those to 18. Let's see. I am leaving lots of space on the page. So there's they've got to scroll a long way. And there's not just like big blinding white spaces, but what I'm doing in preparation for having display ads on the site later is every sentence is a new paragraph. And so I have headers, and then I have new sentences and new paragraphs. And while that might seem excessive on desktop, on mobile, it's actually, and I've been going on my phone and like scrolling, like one sentence fills up like this much of the screen, right? Just one sentence. And so you say, okay, it seems less crazy to space every single sentence out and do it like a new paragraph, because again, there's it just fills up so much of the screen. And so eventually what I will do when I add, because I'm going to add Ezoic to it here in the next couple of weeks, is to go ahead and just set up an ad unit, an ad placement potential space between basically every single sentence as I go down, so that the ad tester has a lot of spaces to test out. Also planning on because I'm not creating as many articles for this site in a month, as I'm planning on doing a video that can play in the little, like Ezoic has the video player now. So making a short, like 1 to 2 minute video, and not just making a site-wide one. Well, I guess I could do a site-wide one, but I was thinking like a specific to the topic, so that the keyword would be involved in it, and maybe it could draw traffic. I don't know, but doing a video for each of the blog posts. And then I saw somebody mention lots of images. So I'm like trying to balance like speed of the site versus images, but images definitely are a way, especially as you get into other ad networks, because they will layer ads over the top, but will keep people on the page longer, right? And then also make more opportunities for ad placements. So far, all of these things. Another thing I'm thinking a lot about doing is, and I'm doing this actively, and it may make it harder for me to get like organic traffic overall, as I'm creating posts on some topics that I know are competitive, right? I know that I'm not going to rank for them, but they make sense attached to or linked from the low competition article. So I think I can get traffic for article A, and I know I could never get organic traffic for article B, but I think people who are reading article A will click to go read article B. And it makes sense, especially if they go to like the library of all the articles in this cluster, they'll see it in there. So it will just give people a reason to stay on the site longer. So rather than getting their answer, right, maybe they will see something in there that flows naturally from the article, and they will want to stay. So I can try to make more money from that visitor, right? That more ads will refresh, that they will stay longer on the site, and then overall the site will do better, will be healthier. Now, this is different from what I'm doing on the MIGA site, because the MIGA site is basically just straight up answer the question, and then don't worry so much about whether or not there's other stuff on the site that they're interested in. It's just like, and most of the time they'll get their question answered and then be like, peace, like, see you later, like, beesh. And so in this case, I'm really looking for my avatar, my client, my customer for this, the cage fight side, is somebody who has a lot of questions and needs a lot of answers. And so maybe they found their way here. Maybe they didn't realize they needed to know about these other things, or maybe they're interested because they want to learn about maybe their particular case or their particular situation, or the situation of a friend or family member, that there will be a lot for them to read. So I am honestly prepared for this site to come out of the gate really slowly. I was disappointed that the MIGA site didn't have, thousands of page views. I mean, anybody who's reading Reddit Phil's case study, where he's got like 30 or 40,000 page views in like month 4. And I was disappointed I couldn't catch him. In this case, I think I will be happy to have any traffic by months 3 and 4, just because of the topics that I am targeting. But again, I'm hoping that in the end, it will not matter so much, because I want to get the highest RPM possible. And maybe this will just help me see how to make that happen. Also, I've got there's 17 folks here, and the thumbs up button makes me feel fuzzy. Bradbury says the answer might be all, but what are some of the things that people don't want to be found out? Like the stuff that isn't totally wrong, but a bit wrong if people found out. I missed that. Bradbury, you're going to have to give me some context, because I talked too long and now I don't remember what I was saying, because I think the answer might be all. And I think we were talking about like all of the things to do RPM. RPM wise, to make the best RPM wise. This is, but what are some of the things that people don't want to be found out? Like the stuff that isn't totally wrong, but a bit wrong. So like ways to maybe like manipulate RPM to like earn more money from pages, like things you're not supposed to do, like redirect plugins, like that automatically bounce you to other pages. Like that's something that people used to do that's harder to get away with now, especially in affiliate programs. But that's how people used to make money. To get the cookie with Amazon, is they would just try to get a lot of people to one particular page, right? Like just get tons of traffic to some sort of competitive term and then just bounce people to Amazon. And so people would end up on Amazon and they're like, what am I doing here? And then they might shop and they might not, but maybe in the next 24 hours, they would buy a television. And then you would have the cookie and then you would get credit for the television. But stuff like that, I don't plan on doing anything like that. But if anybody has ideas that are not so gray hat, hey, it's just in the chat. It's not committing a crime to talk about it. D says plenty of images too. Yes. Sabina says, I missed what we were talking about suggesting. We're talking about trying to make my cage fight site as valuable as possible and to get the RPM up as high as possible. Margaret says, I wonder if people will use a larger screen to look up serious stuff like legal issues. You may get the benefit of higher desktop ratio. That is something I'm really curious about also, and I won't know for a while to see. I feel like a lot of people just end up scrolling on their phones, like the informational stuff, right? Now, maybe if they were like actually looking to hire a specific attorney, they would be looking from their website, right? Because maybe the website would ask them to input more information about themselves or their cases, and maybe they would want like the ability to do this. But mostly I'm targeting people who are maybe sitting on the toilet, like worrying and like just like searching like how to get out of this DUI that I got myself into, and on their phone. Those are the folks I'm aiming at. Sabina says, I bet you're right. I say we shall see. Leona says, put an article in the video in. Okay, that's interesting. That's a good idea. So put article in article A video and article B as a link. Okay, that's interesting. So maybe somebody sees that video and they're like, ooh, I should go and watch that potentially. That's a good idea. It's just like as much of the interlinking and putting that information across so people be like, maybe I should look that up. So not just having the link to the other article too, but they could actually watch the video right there. Now you are thinking. This is why I love coming to the stream and talking with folks, because people have all kinds of ideas. All right. So folks who did not make it here today, if you were here on the replay, sorry we missed you. It is 11 o'clock here. And so I've drank most of my coffee out of my hasta la vista mug. But I am going to sign off and wrap up because I have, I think 6 more articles to write for this month. I have 10 days to do it. And I will plan to try to get most of it done before the weekend so that I can be free of my my battle content creation obligations, and then continue to work on the MIGA site, which is still ongoing. I just cannot wait to see this site go insane, and I just need to keep working on it. So yeah, it's been great to talk with everybody. Wait a second. Phil says, I'm curious about mobile navigation and want to test by adding mini nav within people's thumb, not at the top. Might have as an option. So you have somebody here, down here, and then they're like mini nav. So yeah, I'm curious what you mean by that, because you say, okay, like a menu somewhere down here. I'm curious. I'm happy to test it out, friend. When I know what it is that exactly you mean. All right. I will be back here. Blah, 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 blah. Next Wednesday. Same time, same place, same all of the things. Commit says, please everyone like the video or you will have 4 months of battery. Asim says, any update on the number of posts you have on the MIGA site? I have just over 240, I want to say. I think I crossed 240. The goal was to try to get to 250 by the end of June. I didn't make it. So the goal is to try to get to 250 by the end of this month if I can get there. And for Asim, because I haven't seen you in so long, friend, I will even go and look. 241. So I need 9 more to get to 250 in 7 months. Sue says, thanks. Have a good one. Anthony says, it's nice seeing you. Have a great week. Awesome, guys. It has been great to talk to everybody. Let's see who is still here. Sabina and Phil and Asim and Sean and Leona and Dee and Chris, if he is still here lurking in the background, and Adam Smith from Niche Website Builders. If you are lurking, I'm calling you out, friend, for not leaving a comment or participating in the chat. Derek, it's been great to see you and talk with you if you are still here. And everybody, I'm super fired up and I'm ready to go to work. And thank you for helping me get to that state of mind. All right. Take care.